So welcome to the Node.js Next 10 meeting for March 29th, 2024. Before we get started, is there anybody have any announcements they'd like to share?
I guess the survey has closed and we
Oh
got
yeah, that's a
amazing
good one.
results. So thank you everyone for filling the survey.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm gonna write that. Survey has closed. Thanks to everybody who responded. I think there was over 3,000 responses, right?
Yeah, more than 3,000, yes.
So I think it's great that I think it's like last time we had maybe 1,600. So this is a really good increase as well. So thanks. Oops, I'm trying to promote Darcy. I hit the promote button. Assume they just need to accept. Okay, so let's move on to the agenda. Planning for next deep dive. That one is on funding. And we have an issue. I just chose a time. So if this time doesn't work for people, we should move it to like a different time. But I looked at the calendar and said like, hey, where's the time coming up? And suggested June 13th from 11 to 1 Eastern. That's typically been the time that we've used. Trying to find a time that like is semi East Coast or West Coast North America friendly and Europe, which is probably unfriendly to a lot of people, but so I see a few like Marco, you've commented that's looked good. I don't know, Ulysses, if that time works for you.
I think it works for me. Yeah, I'm checking now, but yeah, I think it is.
And I just put together a really brief suggested agenda, which is like, let me actually paste that in the chat. Sort of high level topics, which were like funding for contributors. So how can the project accept and handle contribution of dollars? How would the project use crowdfunding? Would we sign it to programs like Hero Devs? How would we spend the dollars? And how to support linking people who want to pay to get specific features tasks completed. So that was like a top, that's like if somebody says, hey, I want to pay to get feature X done, like how would we facilitate that? It may not be that we take money and pass it on, but like maybe we have I don't know, some registered list of people who are interested in doing that kind of work. I don't know what, but like brainstorming those kinds of things. Do you have any other high level suggestions of things to sort of talk about in the deep dive?
I think it's kind of we have this. I think it's town hall the meeting this Friday for the maintainers of the project regarding
Yep.
sustainability program. So we might also include that on the discussion kind of thing because it's going to be like very recent. So maybe we can just get some ideas or see if Node.js is interested in that and so on. So maybe that can be also to discuss on the deep dive session.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. So just suggest any others that come out of that. I think would we sign up for programs like Hero Devs will be pretty directly like that is to present the Hero Dev. I guess we shouldn't call it the Hero Devs program. It's like JS sustainability is the
Yep. I think it's this
Um,
OpenJS sustainability program or
right.
something like that. Yeah.
I have one question more technical on this topic. This meeting, it's not on the calendar. Where I can find information? Guess
I think so. There was a
yeah.
similar question. It's like, okay, if we've agreed on the time, we can add it to the calendar, right?
Okay.
So we can put it in the note calendar, and the proposal would be like, let me look at the calendar. That's a good point that we should at least maybe have the placeholder, but it
Yeah.
is open. So like I can add it right now, actually.
Yeah, maybe we can use the same. I mean, we can use the slot of the next 10 meeting, like it's in 2 weeks, and maybe do it like 1 hour early, so that way we can have like a couple of hours if we go really like in a deep discussion? Because I think other times when we do the deep dive, we go for 2 hours, right?
Yeah, that's why I proposed 2 hours. That I think the challenge with our existing time, like in going early, is like that's if we start and even our regular time. So that's 7 to 1 if you think about North America, East Coast or West Coast, that's already 8 a.m. in the morning. I'm getting
Oh,
that right. No,
true.
maybe so it's 3 hours before, so 11, so 10, 9, 8, right? So that's already 8 a.m., right? And it's kind of like so going any earlier than that, I think is a challenge for East Coast.
Yep.
One I know is like say 6 for a lot of people in Europe and maybe later, but it's kind of like impossible. That's like an hour late for those people
Yep.
and an hour early for the other side. So that's kind of why I suggested that time.
I see. Yeah.
And there's a slot in the calendar in that time to that's free. So that's but if we want to choose another time like that, that's fine. Just that was the considerations to add in. So should I add that time into the calendar? Like I can add it to the calendar right now and add the link. So let me put
Yep.
that. Okay, so funding deep dive. Next 10 funding deep dive. I'm going to add it not to my calendar, but the real calendar. And I'm going to find now the link for our meeting here. Because that will be, we'll just reuse the same link that we have for the next 10 meetings. Okay. So you can double check that it's in the calendar now.
Yeah. I can see it
Okay.
on the 13th. Yeah.
Okay, and I should also include the link to this issue. Let me do that. Okay, so that includes, and then the link to the meeting again, copy. I'm going to put that in here. And I'll put it in. I'll change this. I'm just changing the actual issue for the. So maybe instead of planning, I'm going to change the title to funding next and funding deep. Okay, save. And I guess then the question is like, what should we do to promote it in terms of awareness? We really should tell all of the collaborators. I think maybe we've opened like a discussion item in the past.
Discussion. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody wants to volunteer to do that. Open a
I
discussion
can
item.
do that.
And I guess similarly, does anybody want to chair the meeting? I guess I'm happy to do it, but if there's, any other volunteers, also happy to have people jump in there. So if anybody changes their mind, let me know. Otherwise, I'll plan to jump in. So okay, so we'll do that. Any other thoughts in terms of how we should get most we don't want to necessarily tweet because we don't want it should be mostly I think collaborators at this point to sort of discuss as a project, what do we think is make sense. Maybe there's been a few issues. We should maybe post a link to this in those issues. Maybe we could do that right now.
Yeah, I guess we should not tweet it with the Node.js account, but I think it's okay to retweet it on our network because I don't know, I think there are people who are not collaborators but involved with the project that would like to to participate. So yeah.
Okay. No. Yeah, just so long as it's like, I think it would be good for us to figure out the sense of the like what's the pulse of the project in terms of, so I'd be, at least for me, it would be to focus on like, what does the project members think? If we think that people are like popular on crowdfunding and so forth, I could see like pulling in people from crowdfunding systems and stuff to give us more information and stuff like that. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, like, but the sort of broader collaborator community would be good. Okay, so next thing, stuff funding, for those interested in this issue. Okay, so I'm just adding into the two issues that were opened. One, which was on Open Collective and GitHub sponsors for Node.js, and on allow collaborators to sponsor GitHub linked and project README. Okay, so I think we've got the plan, we've got the date, we've got the plan. Marco's going to post a discussion item. And I think those were the two issues I was aware of that were like specifically related to funding. So I'm not sure if there's anything else we should chat about on this one or do.
Do we have an agenda? Should we create the agenda, or maybe there is still time for that?
I think like I had the suggested agenda is that top level, like if in the issue itself.
Okay.
But like, let's refine it for sure. So like if there's other, I don't know, like if it's I think that should be like reorganized or, and actually how, I thought I'd changed, I guess I changed that somewhere else. Edit. It should be like, oh, OpenJS. So that, you know, just, is there a different order or different things you think we should have on the agenda?
Let me see. No, I guess the points in the issue are like open questions, and like they will cover like most of the aspects.
Right, okay.
So.
Because I think I think we've talked about like say getting funding from companies and stuff, but I'm not, that could be a second item. I just wonder if we'll have time to.
Corporate support.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can add that as like a second one, but I think we should do that second because we've discussed it a few times without really figuring out anything. So corporate. Yeah, that's an interesting. Anyway, yep. Okay, so I added that as a second one we can then, and so I would say like between now and the time, certainly if you think of new ideas, like, or like, hey, let's refactor the agenda, we can do that. I think there's enough here to give people the flavor of what we'll cover. But we can also have a better, more precise one, like when we start out in the day. We think about that before. Okay, any other things we should chat about on that one? I'm going to get back to the issue in the minutes. So I'm gonna just say. We agree on date time. We add it to the calendar. Marco will open discussion item to flag to operators. April 10, two issues. So on to the next one. The next one was brainstorm next deep dive topics. I think as I remember, we did have a second deep dive topic, which Marco, you were going to do some research on before we kind of move forward with, right?
Yeah. I opened two issues, one for the like collaborator, improving the collaborator environment. I received some feedback from Rafael because he's also interested in getting the data from the repository. So I still have to do that.
Do you have those issues handy just so we can stick them in the minutes in case anybody's taking a look?
Yep. Let me get them. We have build us this one, 271.
Okay.
And there is also the one about the survey process.
Okay. Right, documenting the survey process. Okay. I guess that one's slightly different from that's a different topic from the deep dives. Okay, so 271.
Yeah.
Building a healthy is still right. Okay, so that's good. So we can continue the discussion there. But I think the net is we probably know what our next one is. We're just doing some work to prep for it. So maybe we don't need to spend too much time on the brainstorm this week on that issue.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is discuss the initial cut for the text for the ambassador program. That actually, I guess, would really be like I think we've done that one. I guess I can close that out as the PR is open, I'm gonna say. And if people can jump into the discussion there, there's been some refinements and questions and so forth ongoing, but hoping that it lands with it too much more time, in which case we can start the process of figuring out who would enter that program. Okay, so the next steps from the advocacy deep dive. That one we discussed, I think we said, let's defer looking at that again until the ambassador program lands or not. If for example, because that was our major thing that we took out as a first step. And then if we complete that, we can go and look at the next step.
All right.
Okay, so the next one is the survey 2024.
Yep. So I have the I've received an email. I think you, Michael, received it too. The results from the survey. So I wondered, should I add those in the version control and open a PR?
I think what we
or-
need to do first is like for the actual write-in answers, we need to scrub those. So what I did last year is like I took the spreadsheets, I sorted by answers, and like a bunch of them may be like, no, like a bunch of them didn't apply. So I kind of deleted them. And then I read the rest of them because some of them last year, like there was a few that like were attacks on particular people and stuff like that. And if there's like any personal identifying stuff, we need to like basically we need to go through and say, yeah, this is sanitized. I think a good way to do it was like to take those, put them into a Google Doc. And then, we want to make sure that we give Robin and Kylie a chance to say like, hey, we sanitize this, look good to you. They say yes. And then that's what we would actually put into the GitHub repo. So I think like the spreadsheet the presentation that you put together for us, and then that doc with the write-in answers, the Google Doc, which we've sanitized. So, I was thinking maybe we could get together and I could show you what I did. Because like last time I went through and used the sorting and everything. And I think if maybe, we each did half of them or something, that would cut down on the work. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So we could find like an hour in our calendar and probably, go through that process.
Yeah.
And then, maybe during that hour we could work together. I could work on a few, you could work on a few, and we'll see like how much work. Maybe we get it done. Maybe it's going to take us more time to get through them all.
Yeah, I mean, this time we have twice as many as last year.
Right.
So I wonder if we can somehow automate this process, like given I don't know if we can do it with a script instead of manually.
That might be possible, right? Like, that's why, like, if we get together, I can kind of just show you what I did, and you might go, oh, well, I'll just automate that. Like, we'll just write a script which does the same thing. I do think, unfortunately, like, we're going to have to read through them to make sure, like, the sanitization side of things. But in terms of getting it into a list, which is the list to go through, there could be automation to help with that for sure.
Okay. Yeah, but anyways, I agree to do like to set up 1 hour of work, and yeah, that's
And you listeners, if you're interested in joining as well, feel free. But figured I'd just volunteer a couple of us.
Yeah, put me on CC on the invite, and I will try to join.
Send invites. I'll try and find a time. I think I like looking at the actual, just the top level presentation. Certainly some interesting information in that already. So it's going to be, I look forward to looking at the write-in stuff as well. And maybe since we're here, rather than like doing through email, let me see if there's a time. So probably earlier, I'm thinking, is better than later for people. Would on the 4th at 10 work for people?
Sorry, which day?
Sorry, the June 4th.
Let me check. June 4th, it's a Tuesday. Yeah. Actually, no, I'm fully booked on.
Okay.
Like unless it's very early, unless it's like I don't know if.
How about June 6th?
About what?
June 6th at 9, just before the security working group meeting.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Okay, Ulysses, is that okay for you?
Yeah, that works for me also.
Okay. So I'm going to make that then. We'll add guests because sometimes I forget to do that and nobody shows up and I'm like, oh, wait a sec. I forgot to add the invites. Marco, yours is the Gmail one that I should use?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
What other email do you have?
Well, the other one I was pretty sure wasn't it. It was the Nearform one, but
No, that's
two
that's
showed up. So I was just making like it's a 54 Gmail, right?
yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, so you should both get an invite for then. Okay, so that's good. The next one we have the agenda is corporate support and contribution.
I think we can either we group this one with the like funding one,
Yeah.
or because I don't think like Amal was like brought up this one, and
Yeah.
it would since they're not being active, I think it's better to put it together with the other one, so we can
Okay.
discuss, or the other one, the other possibility is to remove it from the agenda, but I think it's interesting, so would
Yeah, I
keep
just
it.
said, let's say for this week, it's covered under the discussion of the funding deep dive. And so we can leave it on the agenda and then see what comes out of the deep dive and go from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, the create communications channel to the JS newsletters and periodicals. Anything worth mentioning on that front?
Go ahead. No.
Yeah, I mean, this there was some discussion on the. I saw. I don't remember if it was an initial discussion about the fact that we have trouble delivering news to about the project externally. I think this was a discussion on. I will search it. I will link it later. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Is it something that we will be able to keep up with, like to create content?
I think like in this case, it's an automated process. So people really, it's the lowest overhead is like post something here, it shows up. I have no empirical data, but it kind of feels to me like some of the newsletters have a bit more node coverage than they used to. I'm not sure. So like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe this feed is actually being used by them. We sent it to them. I don't know if anybody else has that feeling or not, but I've subscribed to the forget whether it's like JavaScript Weekly and there's a few other ones, but like that was kind of my impression. I don't know if anybody else has any feeling one way or the other.
I don't know. We can give it a try. I'm not against it, but I'll a bit. I don't know if it's going, like, it has to be 100% automated. Otherwise, I don't think anybody will have the like time or energy to make this a long-term thing.
Yeah, I think Ulysses pretty much has automated it.
Yeah, it's kind of automated. I think what we have today mostly is releases that works fine, and also we have like a link to a resume for the most relevant issues, most commented, and so on. So that's also useful, like a kind of a follow-up. At least I use that when I'm back from holidays, so that's a good one. But yeah, regarding, for example, like a specific news reported by teams and so on, there are some teams that actually they do reporting. Like, for example, I think maybe it was the NAPI probably, or the Unditsi team. They report something like, yeah, we released this one, stuff like that. But yeah, the other teams mostly are not reporting. And for example, the case of security working group that we are all there
Right.
and stuff like that happens. So I think like the channel is working fine, but I think the problem may be, or maybe we can iterate a little bit how we manage that. So I think culturally is like it's kind of everybody has the opportunity to say something in the discussion, but nobody really takes the ownership for that.
Right. Okay.
So maybe we can try to find some cultural change, and see in those teams who is more willing to, express and share and stuff like that, and see if they can, just take a little bit more of ownership, saying like, look, I'm the one who knows what's going on an API more or less, so I can just tell you like 2 lines of something, so that we can just be more in touch with that kind of specific person. So that would be easier than just the full team. Because I think, for example, that's what happened on the security working group, right? That the like stuff happened and we are all aware of, but nobody really takes the ownership of I'm the one who is going to keep this up to date,
Yeah.
which that's actually more work, right? So for the specific individual. So not very sure if that
Or
helps.
even
But yeah,
having like a standard agenda item to say like, hey,
yeah.
what should we post? Is there anything we should post in the issue that will go out, right? Like that. But you need buy-in from the team to say, hey,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting, Marco, if you can find that issue that was talking about like we have trouble getting news out, right? Because
I LinkedIn.
okay.
I
Oh,
had.
there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, you
It
posted
was.
just before. Okay. I found it and I posted also, but you just was faster than me. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. It's the comment on our what's new. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. I see. It doesn't really stick.
Yeah, I think there was one suggestion from Trot there that was quite interesting about like having more like people who are act more like a spokesperson of the project kind of thing, so they can be that reference, so we can just try to promote people from the core team that are more willing for interviews, stuff like that, so they can share more what's going on. I think Trot said that by the way, somehow in one of the comments.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so maybe that can be also one option, to like having someone or have a rotation of that role. So people who are really into the core can do these kind of things. And the same way also, like moving news, not only on the like on the feed format, that can be like more on the like going to podcast, these kind of things. I mean, there are some core contributors that do that quite often. Like, for example, I don't know, Matteo Colino, for example, is a great example of this kind of public speaking. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that can be a different path. But yeah, that's definitely a different thing.
Right. I guess it's a little related to the the discussion on the advocacy, like the ambassador program, right? Like in that discussion, people were like, yeah, we're not getting our news out. But it's like on the flip side, if nobody is willing to spend any time on it, then we're not going to get any news out, right? Like I think you're right that we can figure out like, is there more we can do to try and get people interested? Because you did a great job of getting like an automated thing. I think that's like the lowest effort we're ever going to get. Just post a couple paragraphs here and it will end up in a place where, and it's consolidated so people can post it in their own local place. Like the overhead is as low as it's going to get. But
Unless.
still, if we still can get people to do anything, then it's like, okay, what do we do, right?
What if we use the notable change label even on other repository to get data automatically, and like you add the notable change, so you need to write a few lines. That's what we do for release. What if we get those data and like add them automatically in a Slack channel or on something?
I think we could do that. The only difference between that and what's in place now is you could write that on the issue versus like just posting it into this one other issue that already exists. So I don't know if the overhead's different, but maybe the context switch from the issue you're looking at to some other issue would make that easier. I don't know.
I guess like if I already, as a releaser, I already see that people don't write the notable change.
Right.
Like if they also have to write more stuff somewhere else, I don't think that's ever gonna
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
Like it has to be the lowest amount of effort. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think scrapping things that has this tag can be a good thing, as Marco said. Because yeah, I mean the problem with that is like the people who is in charge of the feed will like need to digest that kind of things, you know. So it's like yeah, there is like 6 new notable things happening on DT. So you need to have a little bit more of the context, but hopefully you can check out the PRs, put the links, you know, make some kind of maybe we can use some LLM or something just to digest this kind of content and prepare like an abstract. So that way we don't add any, you know, extra effort to any of the existing maintainers. So we don't have to promote the program and so on. It's like going to be like just use your normal flow, which is notable change. We identify these important things for the project and we will try to make something digestible from that.
It might be like a notable issue, but I guess it would be, yeah, like how do you make that digestible? Because if it's just like here's a link to an issue, that might be interesting. I don't know if people would then look at those issues, or like I'm just thinking for purely automated could just pull those, put the title and the link, right? And that would be the lowest
Yeah.
automation
Yeah.
overhead. And like maybe it would be interesting to see if that ended up with, you know, like do those set of titles, are they interesting enough to then click on and say, okay, well that's
Yep. Yeah, that's a good option, like new notable things, and we just keep a JSON with the previously
right.
links having that tag, so we don't repeat every week, and we don't need anything fancy, and we just do the cron job when we run the generation, and that's it. So that can be a good option. Definitely. And yeah, we just list that. Or maybe we can do a pull request of the, I think it's BNB project, that the one that we use to fetch the more relevant news, like most commented issues and so on. I think we have that in the feed. We are scrapping. Let me see what it is. I don't remember the name of the project now, which is same for me. Let me see. Yeah, retrospective for Node.js, retro weekly. Yeah, so maybe we can do a pull request to this project that generates these retros every week for the project. And maybe we can just add one for one section for like notable things happen. So that can be
Yeah,
another
that's
option.
possible.
Yeah, this is actually including the feed. So that can be another. I'm not very sure also how much the people use the feed. So maybe something else that we can do is put some analytics on the feed, maybe just to get some basic, you know, view counter.
Right, yeah.
I don't know, something like super private friendly, right? Kind of thing. But I think maybe we can get some statistics from GitHub pages itself. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I think we have some. I think you can access here, right? We have
Okay.
some traffic. Well, let me see. I paste the same thing 6 times. Let me paste it one. Okay. So yeah, I think we have some traffic data, which also include like the git clones, which is not very relevant, but we have the visitors, which I think is more related to. Not very sure if it's the repo itself or it is related to the GitHub pages consumption, but I think it's maybe merged together. I can research it a bit more, but yeah, we
Well, I
have
think down
some.
below popular content,
Yeah,
Node.js news feeder, the content.
yeah, and the package JSON and some PRs. Not very sure if that's like the most relevant.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the issue. I mean, but the other aspect is like, you know, that this came out of a discussion in one of the deep dives or collaborator summits or whatever. I guess like at some point it's worth revisiting too, like if we're not achieving the goal, like if we're not getting people who provide info and we're not, or we're not getting people consume it, it's like, oh, is this like, this was a good way to try out? Could we solve problem X? But maybe we need to think about other ways of solving problem X or whatever. But at least having that conversation, like it'd be like, we should maybe go back to like, and I can see some of that discussion in the you know, in the issue that was mentioned, is like part of it is like, well, what news isn't getting out that people need to know or whatever, right? And I'm sure like we could, I'm sure I'd have trouble finding it, but like if we went back in history, I'm sure there was a discussion that says like, you know, we'd like more people to know what's going on about in the project. And so this was a good way that was like meant to be super low overhead because we know people aren't going to do too much stuff. But it is just say it's worth going back and thinking, like going back to like, okay, we made an attempt. Is this still the right thing to keep going with, or consider other ideas, that kind of stuff?
Yep.
So,
like
yeah,
if this doesn't work, I believe that like if the lowest amount of effort and the most automation doesn't work, then I don't think like the problem might be that people are just not interested in having this kind of information.
Right, like we exactly, like we could say like, well, we've confirmed through experimentation that nobody is willing to generate the information, therefore, or like, I don't think we're there yet. We should look at it and we could, you know, ask if there's figure out like, well, are there people who are like using it and or not? And but
yeah, I think maybe something that we can try to do is like move the focus from the core team itself to someone else who is willing to, you know, maybe bring this news to the world. So maybe we can create a small group of people who is interested in writing, for example, blog posts, and we can help them, you know, say like, look, those are the notable things happen now in the project. If you can help us to write the draft, we help you to, you know, like publish the content and make it suitable, and we publish that on the official blog of the Node.js project. That might be a good option for the people to get information about the project. But yeah, because I'm not expecting the maintainers to, I mean, the contributors and the core team to write a lot of blog posts, because if it's hard for them to share links and small sentences on discussions and issues, it's going to be super hard even to go for a blog post, right? But maybe there are people who are willing to write blog posts about the project, but they don't know about the content. So if we guide them on the content to publish about, and we help them to correct the content, maybe that's a good way to publish content regarding news for the project.
So yeah, I think I think so. Yeah. I guess so. What do we want to do? Anyway, maybe we can leave it on the agenda and sort of continue this discussion next time, because I'm not quite sure what to do next. Just reading some of the discussion there. And okay, anything else we should discuss before closing out today? Okay, if not, I guess thanks for your time, and we see everybody next time. Thanks. Bye.
All right.